It's the Mike Francesa podcast on the Bet Rivers Network.
Hello again, everybody, and welcome to the Mike Francesa podcast on the Bet Rivers Network, brought to you by Casamigos Tequila. Casamigos Tequila is brought to you by those who drink it. You might want to sample a little and responsibly on this Father's Day weekend, and a happy Father's Day to all out there. Now, you've probably heard enough about minicamp and Aaron Rodgers, but I'm surprised, and that's the reason why I bring it up again. I am surprised by how many missed the point. If this was a typical franchise, if this was a typical quarterback-team relationship where a veteran quarterback was going to miss a minicamp, who has been the quarterback of the team for the last 5 years or whatever the situation, nobody would raise an eyebrow. Nobody would blink. But this is a very different situation. This is a 40-year-old quarterback coming off a major injury that shelved him for the entire season. So do not think for a second that there aren't players on that team who question whether or not he can last. Because a lot of NFL people question whether he can survive a season at this age off that injury. But that's not the biggest problem here. The biggest problem here is Aaron Rodgers has a unique place inside this franchise right now. He moves this franchise dramatically with a word, with a sigh, with any expression. He can dramatically move this franchise. This franchise goes back and forth based on his temperament. He is this franchise right now. He is their reason for being right now. And he has, by his own admission, taken it upon himself to change the culture of this franchise, which he said needs dramatic change from abject losers to winners. And that so many things had to be changed inside that locker room. And then he turns around and misses a mandatory minicamp where every player on the team, except one who's holding out, which is a normal way of business in the NFL, so nobody should be surprised by that. Reddick will be there in plenty of time. He's holding out. It happens all the time with contract players. Aaron Rodgers is not holding out about a contract. Aaron Rodgers is not nursing an injury. Aaron Rodgers took off because he doesn't think the rules apply to him. He thinks that he makes the rules. He thinks he is above the rules. He is Lord and Master at his franchise. And if you don't see how that showed disrespect to the ownership and disrespect to the coach, who's only there because he wants him there. Saleh's performance would have gotten him fired already. He is there because Aaron Rodgers wanted him back. The offensive coordinator is there because Aaron Rodgers wanted him there. Aaron Rodgers gets whatever he wants. And then he turns around, and for no good reason, because if there was a good reason, that just would have given us the reason. He is on some kind of excursion or some trip somewhere, which don't tell me that couldn't be changed. He needed to be there because of the relationship he now has and the hold he now has on this franchise. That's the reason he needed to be there. Because there are guys, I guarantee you, in that locker room saying, wait a second, I'm here and he's not here? And that's not the way you want to start this. If guys are sitting out because they're nursing injuries, or you don't want to push guys early, that is fine. If you told me he was there and he wasn't going to take a snap, no problem. But you can't tell me he is not excused from a mandatory minicamp and then he doesn't show up for no good reason. He is not right now just another player. He is right now their reason for getting up in the morning. Everything revolves around him. That's what he wanted. He got it. That's the position this franchise put themselves in. They have pushed all their chips right into his lap. He either works or they are back to square one with new coaches and new general managers and new people in place, because it was another failed experiment for a team that has done nothing but lose. They took a chance that an aging, bizarre, and he is bizarre, an aging, bizarre superstar quarterback had a couple of years left in him and could take them to the playoffs and maybe beyond. And the first time he stepped out there, he dropped back and tore his Achilles tendon. And that's all they have to go on. And that's why every move he makes this year matters. Because it's all about him and him being healthy and him being able to provide what he needs to provide for this franchise. Emotionally, spiritually, physically, in every possible way. They can't do this without Aaron Rodgers. And at 40 years of age, he isn't a given. I'm dumb enough to believe this can be done on the field. But if he's going to be a screwball off the field, it's not going to work. And Saleh, who doesn't know how to handle any situation, he makes every situation worse when he gets in front of a microphone, handled this terribly again this week. If he is okay with this, then he just made it worse. He is a puppet in this game. He just showed you what a puppet he is in this game. It's an inexcused absence. I'm fine with it. He's not here. How could you be fine with it if it's an inexcused absence? You can't have both. If it's inexcused, how can you be fine with it? Then none of you guys have to show up. It's either mandatory or it's not. It's not somewhat mandatory. Or it's mandatory to everybody but the guy who runs the franchise. The guy who's more important here than I am, more important here than anybody is. And there's a coach basically saying, I'm here and I'm at his beck and call. He runs the franchise. I don't. And that's why Saleh has no chance. Because he has abdicated his own power and given it to the quarterback. You can't do that as a head coach. Yes, you can have a star player that you have to coexist with. That happens now in every sport, where a player has such a big contract and such a big hold on a franchise. Mahomes has that now in Kansas City, but he doesn't ever try to say he's above Andy Reid. Josh Allen has that in Buffalo, but he doesn't try to exert his authority over the coaching staff. The quarterback can be invaluable, but that doesn't mean he gets all the power. Here, Rodgers has all the power. They are employed because Rodgers wants them employed. And what he told you this week is that I make the rules. I make the rules. It's mandatory for you guys. It's mandatory for me when I say it is. And that was another step down the wrong road for the Jets, who live making the wrong move in the wrong direction. That's all they know. That's what Rodgers has been saying. This team doesn't know how to win. This team doesn't know how to do it. And instead of taking them in the right direction, he makes them all look bad. That's why it mattered. No other reason. It's not going to affect their regular season. It's not going to affect their training camp. But it has set them back already in a way they didn't need. Because everything they need to do has to work right this year. Or this is not going to work. And if it doesn't work, Rodgers is going to go off and do whatever crazy stuff he's going to do with the rest of his life. And wait for his Hall of Fame induction in 5 years. And Saleh's going to wind up being a defensive coordinator somewhere. And everyone else will be looking for a job. That's how important this all is. And that's why he doesn't have a regular role like a regular quarterback right now. Yes, they have painted him and anointed him with this franchise. And with that comes a lot of responsibility. Not a little responsibility, a lot of responsibility. Which he uses when he needs to and walks away from when he doesn't feel like it. Like this week where he decided, I'm going somewhere else. You guys go to a mandatory minicamp. I'm too busy. That's why it mattered. You know, I don't think a lot of the Mets this year, I don't think a lot of their team, I think you have a much greater chance they're going to break things down than do anything that would be significant. But yesterday was the one day. It was a second straight win. It was over a bad team, having a bad year. But if they're going to go anywhere, the guys who did it yesterday have to lead the way. Diaz has to go back to the ninth inning and be Diaz, and yesterday he was. And then Martinez gave them the first walk-off home run of his exceptional career. He's had a terrific career. Not a Hall of Fame career, but a impressive career. And that was the first walk-off home run of his career. But these two players can give this franchise credibility this season. These two players can actually lift them if there's anything to lift this year. Because you can make a case that Diaz, obviously, as the one premier pitcher on the roster, coming back from an injury, and Martinez, who is not the best offensive player in the lineup, but is the most important offensive player in the lineup because he can give this team credibility and an experience and a credibility that it doesn't have and it's searching for. And that showed up yesterday in the ninth inning with Diaz and Martinez. And if there's anything that's going to happen, and like I said, I don't expect it to happen, but if there's anything that's going to happen, it's going to happen because of those two guys. They're going to lead the way. Not Lindor, not Alonso, these two guys. And like I said, I don't think it's going to matter, and I think before July, they'll be, in the middle of July, they'll be pairing players off, sending this guy here and this guy there. Marte's hitting just enough with his late surge to get himself traded into a pennant race. McNeil will be gone, et cetera, and we don't know if Alonso will be gone. There's a 50-50 chance, and maybe better that he goes. But if there's going to be any moments, those two guys you saw yesterday have their big ninth inning are going to lead the way. Without any question. And for the Mets, at least they have the Yankees to look forward to in a couple of days, which gives them something to be, if not excited about, at least challenged by. It gives them a prize, something to really shoot at, to turn this ho-hum 30-37 season around. Hopefully turn it around. We have a fleeting couple of days left in the basketball and hockey seasons. Fleeting. I just saw today that it would be the first time since 1995 if both championship series were sweeps. It doesn't really matter if they are or aren't. We know who's going to win the series now. So those seasons are pretty much over. And the same thing. Game threes were frustrating for Edmonton, frustrating for Dallas. But they didn't come up with the victory that they needed to turn the series around. That didn't happen. So now you're just waiting, in both cases, for the inevitable. Father's Day weekend means U.S. Open. Every Father's Day, a lot of Father's Days, anyone who's a golf fan sits around and watches the U.S. Open. And this year, at a historic course, Pinehurst number 2 in Carolina. And already an interesting leaderboard and a little bit of a surprise because Scottie Scheffler struggled in day one and right now has, a lot of work to do. Right now, he's 6 strokes off the lead as he plays round 2. He's about 7 holes into round 2, and he's actually very un-Scheffler-like 1 over par. He couldn't get the ball in the fairway yesterday, which is very un-Scheffler-like. And so far today, just going around playing par golf. Cantley has a 1-stroke lead. He plays this afternoon at -5. Over Oberg, who is going to be a fixture in these tournaments as the years go by, who's 4 under. Rory, who shot 5 under yesterday, is 1 over on the card early today. He's playing with Scheffler. He's 4 under. Tony Finau, who's always looking to win that major, is there. Terrell Hatton is there right now, so he hasn't thrown a fit yet on the course, which will come. DeChambeau, who has played well this year when he's come over, the one live player who's actually come over and played well this year, is -2 right now, and he's on the course in round 2. So you expect Scheffler to maybe make a move. We'll see if he does on the back 9 today. You have Rory, who hasn't won a major in 10 years. Right now, sitting there adorning the 1 over so far on the card today through 6 holes and 5 under yesterday. An impressive 5 under par yesterday, along with Cantley. Remember, McIlroy and Cantley had their issues in the Ryder Cup. I mean, Cantley made a lot of enemies in the Ryder Cup, but he also had a little thing with Rory at the Ryder Cup. So it'd be interesting if they wind up paired later this weekend. And Cantley has taken a very big, very vocal position with the PGA now. He's become a very vocal, very big voice. Did last year at the Ryder Cup where he was very unhappy, and despite what everybody said, wanted to get paid. And has taken a very vocal position now and has become somewhat of a controversial figure in golf. A very vocal figure. He's kind of that young leadership now, and he has become a very vocal and a very, in some quarters, divisive figure. Which people may not be that aware of yet. I was talking to some golf guys recently, and I said, why have, it's so natural. It makes so much sense. Why hasn't Tiger Woods been named the Ryder Cup captain for Bethpage? I mean, you're going to have a team of American long hitters looking for revenge. Who better to coach that team than Tiger Woods? I mean, it's perfect. He's not going to play. Make him the guy to run the team. And the response was, we want him to do it. He just hasn't taken the job yet. So I don't know what his reluctance is. I don't think he can still be fashioning himself a player, because he's not going to get back to that level again. He shot 4 over yesterday and then went and worked on his game. So he obviously was feeling better physically because he didn't limp off, but he still was 4 over yesterday. Not as bad as Phil, who was nightmarish yesterday with a 79. But still, 4 over is not going to get it done. It's not even going to get you to the weekend. But it just seems like such a natural to have Tiger the boss of that team. A team that will be clearly made for that course, and that would mean big hitters, because that's a big hitters course in every way. You know, guys who don't hit it far don't even want to play there. And it's a course where America can exact their revenge. First of all, it's going to be a raucous crowd for the Europeans, and tough on the Europeans, number one. Number two, it's going to be a very, very long course where you're going to put a lot of big American hitters in there. But I just don't understand why it's taken so long to have that done. And what I heard was, on their end, they want Tiger to do it. The offer's out there. They just wait for Tiger to say yes. Which I'd be surprised if he doesn't. I mean, I don't know what he's thinking about it, but it would seem to me to be a logical thing as America is looking for, a big bounce back after being embarrassed in the Ryder Cup last time. So I would expect, that to happen. Be surprised if it doesn't. Yankees lost yesterday. And again, I don't like to make it seem like I'm picking on Holmes. I like Holmes. I think Holmes has ability. I don't trust him as a closer. And yesterday's another example. He's blown 4 saves this year. And folks, I'm telling you, there are 3 other games I know in my mind where he got lucky to get the save. Either a great defensive play or an atom ball or a ball that missed going out of the ballpark or was fouled by 2 inches or just missed going out of the ballpark. He could have 7 blown saves now. I don't trust him. And I'm not going to trust him in the playoffs at all. And his overall numbers don't look bad. He's striking out a man an inning. His whip is okay. It's not great, but it's okay. He's got a 180 ERA, which ERA doesn't matter as much for what his job is. But his numbers are not bad, but I just don't believe in him. He's 19 for 23. Here's what I don't like. He gives up a hit in an inning. He gets some strikeouts, but he doesn't get the big strikeout. And he doesn't bring the same stuff I think the key to being a great reliever is 2 things: control and a repeatable pitch. Nerves of steel help a lot. Having that unflappable personality where you think like a cornerback, where you're going to get burned and it doesn't bother you the next time you go out. Even Mariano got burned and it doesn't bother you the next time you go out. You forget about it. You go out the next day and do your job. That's what a closer has to do. But control, not always there. Repeatable pitch, not always there. And I think that makes him a vulnerable closer. I've said this to you since spring training. And he has 19 saves out of 23, and he blew a save yesterday, which is why I bring it up. But I've brought this up thematically all year. I don't trust him, and I think he could be a vulnerability in the postseason as the Yankees will have pressure on them to get to the World Series off what looks like it's going to be a stellar regular season. And why shouldn't it be? I mean, when you have what Soto's doing, what Judge is doing, and the depth now in the lineup, what Verdugo was brought, the maturation of Volpe. Yanks go to Boston right now. And I have to tell you, I was like, it still has its charm. The Red Sox are a 500 team. They're way out of it. The Yankees are miles ahead of everybody except Baltimore. But it still has its charm as they go there tonight. Heel, who gave up 3 runs his last start and left losing, but the Yankees bailed him out, brings his glowing 8-1 record into Fenway this evening. Still makes for an interesting weekend. Still does. And on what should be a warm Father's Day weekend, having the Yankees in Fenway on Friday, on the weekend, being there on a Father's Day weekend, on a Friday night, on a Saturday night. I figured it a game of the week on Sunday night. I didn't look yet, but I'm sure they are. Yeah, they are. They're playing Sunday night. So Father's Day, Sunday night, you can watch the U.S. Open into Yankees Red Sox. If you're a sports fan, that's a nice Father's Day. There might be some lingering winter sports, but who knows? They could both be over. It looks like Stroman against Crawford on Sunday night. So if you're a Yankee fan, that's a nice way to finish your Father's Day on a beautiful, and we're supposed to get some thunderstorms today, and it's supposed to be a beautiful weekend. So after a sunny Sunday where you play golf or go to the beach or whatever and watch some golf, then watch the Yankees and the Red Sox on Sunday night, life's good. There still is something to the series. And the Yankees come in playing very good baseball. They didn't get the sweep in Kansas City, but they still were impressive there. They start the weekend where you expect them to be in first place. Still only one game over the Orioles. Orioles lost yesterday. Yankees lost yesterday. Still only one game. The Red Sox 13 games out. But playing actually a little better than people thought this year. And there's still that charm that comes with Fenway Park, which I have to tell you, I've always said this. It's my favorite park in the May. Since Yankee Stadium was turned into a, concrete, charmless building, which is what it is now. Fenway's, without question, the best ballpark in the country to see a game in. I love Fenway Park. I love everything about it. I love how they revitalized it without ruining it. They did a great job. What they built in left field, what they raised in right field, everything was done so smart. It gave them the revenue they wanted, and they still kept the charm of the ballpark. It's still a ballpark. And when you're there, it just feels like a place to watch baseball. Best park in the country. Love when I go there. Love the ballpark. Chance to be great when through the years, and I've been in that park a million times. Love that park. So again, a very happy Father's Day. Enjoy. We'll talk.
Thanks for listening to the Mike Francesa podcast on the Bet Rivers Network.